And now we have Snivy. Alongside its fellow Unova starters, it was one of the first Generation 5 Pokemon revealed to the public, and many players were intrigued by its cool, laid-back, yet brazenly confident expression. In fact, it was such a striking trait that the fanbase gave it the name Smugleaf. When the games were released, many players struck out into the Unova region, or the Ishu region, as it was initially known as, with their Snivy or Sutaruja by their side. Today we'll be exploring how this self-assured snake performed in the competitive scene. And so, we ask, how good was Snivy actually? And in this video, we'll be going over these competitive formats. Little Cup players were immensely excited at the prospect of Snivy and its boosting Leaf Storm. With the contrary ability, it would surely be an excellent Pokemon. If it had that ability, that is. Sadly, contrary Snivy was never freed from Black and White's dream world, not even in Black and White 2, where many such abilities were released. This was a monstrous tease, bordering on cruel, and sadly this left Snivy to languish uselessly, sans any sort of niche in its inaugural generation. It was outclassed by Snover, Fungus, Cottony, and Ferroseed, aka grass types that could actually achieve things on their own. The most Snivy could do was set up screens. But not only was this not a particularly in-demand trait, it was also pretty outclassed in this role as well, this time by the superior toolkits of Abra and Voltorb. As such, Snivy was never used in its debut generation. Snivy was similarly useless in X and Y Little Cup, but come ORAS, it finally received Contrary and instantly burst into the tier with all the viability it had been promised. It was rife with excellent traits. First of all, being able to spam the powerful Leaf Storm while making itself stronger in the process made Snivy the best offensive grass type in the tier, especially since it had a solid 17 speed stat, which let it tie at worst with other top Pokemon like Mienfoo, Drillbur, and Archon, and outspeed a significant portion of the metagame. That wasn't all it offered though. Contrary also made it an excellent counter to Sticky Web teams, as the hazard would actually boost its speed. As if all that wasn't enough, Contrary also let Snivy act as an excellent deterrent to or punisher of Defog, as if it switched into the move, it would have its evasion raised, and nobody wanted to deal with that. Furthermore, Snivy had an excellent support move pool that gave it even more ways to wreak havoc upon the opposition. It could act as an excellent paralysis spreader with Glare, or it could soften the opposition up for itself and its teammates by removing opposing Eviolites with knockoff. Speaking of Eviolite, Snivy had solid natural bulk with one attached and could really make use of it, as well as the solid resistances afforded by its grass typing by keeping itself healthy with synthesis. This allowed it to switch in against Pokemon like Drillbur reliably. Snivy's toughest choice was which hidden power it would use for coverage. It couldn't run HP Fire as that would drop its speed IV and mean it would clock in at 16 speed, losing out on that all-important Mienfoo Drillbur Archon tie. As such, it tended to rotate between ground, ice, and flying, each of which covered different grass resists while maintaining the 17 speed. Ground was valuable for smacking Pawniard, Ponyta, Magnemite, Croagunk, and Vulpix, making it the most preferred option. However, ice was nice to hit Fletchling, Fungus, Cottony, and Pumpkaboo, while flying lost the hit on Fletchling, but maintained the option against the grasses while also crucially hitting Larvesta. Pretty much no matter what it did though, Snivy was a terror. It was so well rounded for something that hits so hard, giving a bevy of uses in a plethora of situations, making for a Pokemon as consistent as it was threatening. It was made even more terrifying by the tier's trappers. Diglett was one of its best partners, as it almost completely removed the need for Snivy to run HP ground, while Gothita was similarly effective for its ability to remove Ferroseed and Fungus. Snivy had some variety in sets too. The Eviolite variant was the gold standard for a reason, but it could also branch out with an effective substitute berry set, letting it dance around Thunderwave, Sucker Punch, and Prediction. It could potentially even clean with Choice Scarf late game. So all in all, Snivy was thoroughly excellent and a defining Pokemon in ORAS Little Cup. Snivy was excellent once again in Generation 7. It received several boosts. First, it could now run 31 speed IVs regardless of hidden power, which blessed it with the ability to incorporate the long-desired hidden power Fire into its rotation. Second, it received Defog, giving the sparsity of hazard control in Little Cup. This was a terrific addition that allowed Snivy to provide its team with even more utility. However, the biggest by far was the addition of Z-moves, which made an already fearsome offensive Pokemon even more dangerous. Its go-to Z-move move was Ring Out, which would become a 190 base power breakneck blitz. This was already massively powerful, but when combined with the ease Snivy had in getting +2 simply by spamming its naturally strong stab move, it became downright ridiculous. This allowed Snivy to easily crush checks like Krogunk, Fungus, Ponyta, and Alolan Grimer, and was an excellent complement to its hidden power of choice. As if that wasn't ridiculous enough, Snivy could run Z Mirror Coat for a brutal Shattered Psyche that also mauled Fungus while giving it an immediate nuke against the likes of Timber or Krogunk that expected to be able to take a hit before Snivy had a boost. But now it didn't even need to throw out that Leaf Storm to become threatening. Not that that was exactly difficult for it to accomplish, of course. Snivy was threatening in large part because of how easy it was to toss Leaf Storms around. Its Z sets were threatening not just because they were threatening in their own right, though that was certainly enough, but because they made Snivy's other sets better. Snivy didn't need Z moves to terrorize the opposition. It still ran plenty of excellent threatening sets without them, from Eviolite Defog to Sub Berry Juice to Choice Scarf. However, the threat of Z moves made these sets even scarier than they normally would be. Snivy's very existence was in and of itself an effective piece of psychological warfare, as the opponent scrambled to try and figure out its set and which Pokemon they could use to answer it, and what they could afford to risk. And given Snivy's teammate, they also had to take that into account, because it wasn't just Snivy they had to worry about, of course, but the teammates that Snivy was so good at creating exploitable holes for. But of course, you did have to worry about Snivy itself, because it was so threatening right off the bat against nearly everything. And the scariest part about this psychological attack, it was paired with a brutal physical component too. While you were busy fearing Snivy trying to figure its game out, you forgot that it was going to hit you and hit you immediately and hit you hard, and it was only going to get stronger. You would try to guess around it, to play cautiously, to try and bait the Z move, and suddenly Snivy was set up a substitute as you switched. Now it still had the Z move and it was behind a substitute, and if it didn't already have +2 special attack, it was almost surely going to have a free Leaf Storm now. And if it did already have +2 special attack, as it probably did, then good night. Not that the other scenario was much better, of course. Snivy had plenty of soft checks, of course, but Leaf Storm allowed it to snowball past them easily, especially with the help of Z moves, or even just the threat of Z moves. And so Snivy was absolutely excellent in Generation 7 Little Cup, capable of fulfilling many roles on many teams and wreaking havoc on the opposing trainer's mind while blasting through their team with ease. And that's it. So how good was Snivy actually? Well, it was teased in its debut generation, never actually receiving Contrary, and continuing that way for a decent amount of time into the next generation. But Oraz finally gifted it its promised ability, and Snivy took off like a rocket. It's well-rounded and has an ultra spammable Leaf Storm, allowing it to fit on many types of teams while consistently terrorizing the opposition. It's been one of the best Little Cup Pokemon in both Generation 6 and 7, and if and when it returns, Snivy is sure to wreak havoc once again. Thanks for watching, everyone, and as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to False Swipe Gaming for more weekly Pokemon content. And in the comments, I want to know, what do you think about competitive Snivy? Would you want to nerf it because it's so powerful in Little Cup? Whatever it is, let me know in the comments. Also, thank you so much to our patrons for continued support of our videos, and thank you to everyone else watching as well. And follow my crew on these social media platforms. And that's all I got. See you next time, everyone.